First of all, thank you for all turning up, and we look forward to another great Nordic fight night on Saturday night. You know, I was privileged not only to promote but also to watch the amazing events not so long ago where Cecilia Brækhus became the first female world champion to unify the belts, something that is going to stick with Cecilia forever. It's something that no one can take away from her. It's something that is a credit to the sport. It's a credit to Cecilia's career. You know, it's been a long road, hasn't it? You know, and it was a very emotional evening because we came to a point where, you know, we've gone to this stage, and what's next? Well, you know, in boxing you don't wait long for stories. On the Monday we received a quick notification from the IBF that a mandatory was due. So of course, you know, great champions. You know, we just saw Vladimir Klitschko defending his belt in who's a unified heavyweight champion. Unfortunately, against our guy Pulev a few weeks ago, he doesn't duck a challenge, and it's the same in the female sport. Cecilia is an ambassador for the sport. We immediately accepted the challenge. I think it's a great credit for Jennifer Retzke, who has fought her way into a mandatory position. This is a great sign for female boxing, because it's not that often that you see mandatory challenges, and this is one where, you know, her record speaks for itself. I think it's a 60% plus knockout ratio, which is something I'm sure that Otto and Cecilia have been working on in training. I'd say I'm sure that she hasn't been punched by anyone like Cecilia Brækhus before, so we'll see if that changes the story on Saturday night. Looking for a great fight, and before the champion has her say, I think, and the trainer of course, I think we'll pass over first of all to the challenger.
So yeah, Jennifer, could you give us your thoughts on this fight and what you must do to beat Cecilia on Saturday night?
Naja, wir werden es einfach sehen. Also ich werde natürlich mein Bestes geben, um den Kampf gewinnen zu können. Also von daher. Ich kenne Cecilia sehr gut. Es gibt viele Möglichkeiten, um ihre Kämpfe zu sehen und sich perfekt darauf einzustellen.
What shall I say? Of course, I will do my best on Saturday to beat her. I think I know Cecilia really well. There are fights of her which you can watch, and I think I'm well prepared.
Perhaps Robert, her coach, can give us some details of how he's been training her.
Yes. Hello everybody. I'm now the coach since 8 weeks, and we're starting her career together, getting IBF champion together. We won, and then our way was changing a little bit now. Since 8 weeks we trained for this fight, good opportunity. But as Cecilia told us before, it is a difference between the levels. So for Jennifer, for us, it's important that we make a good fight, that she gets more experience, and we'll do our best. We have a mission possible, you think, but when Cecilia make a fall, we will capture our opportunity.
Okay, thank you. And now on to the champion, Cecilia. Obviously this will be your 27th professional fight. 26 have tried to beat you, 26 have failed. What are your thoughts going into this fight? You know, obviously Jennifer, the mandatory challenger, is that something you need to be wary of?
I think you should be worried about all your opponents, and you should never take anybody light. And I had 3 really hard fights this year, and I never underestimated any of them, and that is the reason why I also won the fight. I think especially my last opponent, I'm very happy I was so well in shape going in that fight, because somebody around me would maybe say that this could be a fight that could not be so hard for me, but the girl was really a great boxer and great champion, so I never underestimate anybody. I have said that I feel confident, and that I'm in one, you know, I'm a better boxer, and then Jennifer in another league, but I train like I trained against all of my opponents. Either it's Jennifer Retzke, if it is for a unification fight, Matisse, you name it, I train the same way. So I think that's also why I haven't lost any fights.
Perhaps Otto, could you give us some details on the training you've been doing with Cecilia?
Ja, wie Cecilia schon sagte, es ist ihr 4. Kampf in diesem Jahr. Die Vorbereitung war diesmal kürzer als zu den anderen Kämpfen, aber nichtsdestotrotz denke ich, ist Cecilia in einer sehr guten Verfassung. Wir wissen von ihrer Gegnerin, dass sie sehr kampfstark ist und darauf haben wir uns auch eingestellt. Cecilia wird hier demonstrieren, dass sie einfach die bessere Boxerin ist und deshalb den Kampf auch klar gewinnt.
So as Cecilia said already, it's the 4th fight this year for her, and although we have a shorter preparation time this time between the 2 fights, it doesn't really matter because she's really well prepared and fit for this fight as usual. And we know that Jennifer is a strong opponent, but we are ready for her, and Cecilia will show on Saturday that she is the better boxer.
I'll just say something to that. I know Cecilia, of course, very well over the years, and she's actually behind the scenes a big boxing fan as well. Not all fighters are fans, and Cecilia is very into the history of boxing and things like this. And of course, if you look in the history of the sport, and there's obviously been a lot of dominant champions. I want to talk a little bit about the male boxing side, because Cecilia is such a precedent that we've had now in the female side. But if you look at the male side of the sport, there's not many champions who have retired undefeated, and there's a reason for that. The reason is complacency, that you go into a mindset where, well, there's another fight coming up, but listen, this is boxing. Anything can happen, but we are confident that Cecilia is prepared in the best possible way by Otto, and Cecilia's mentality and mindset towards the sport that's going to get her through. I see no reason why she can't go on to do the impossible and retire in many years, of course, undefeated. But that that is something that is a challenge, and anyone who thinks it's not. And I'm sitting next to a lady who's got a record which, in female terms, which speaks for itself. It's not, the IBF is one of the, well, obviously one of the 4 big governing bodies, but it's also well known for a very strict mandatory system. So the chances are, it's not, it's not a case of, well, we've taken her because she looks good, and this is a fight that is an easy one for Cecilia. It's a fight that we have to do. It's called a mandatory for a reason. It's not a fight that we would have selected to do. We would have probably waited a little bit and got into next year to see we've had a bit of time off. She's had to push through a hard camp here against a challenger who knew about this beforehand and has had a chance to prepare herself for what is ultimately the chance of her sporting life. So it's something that I can't wait to see on Saturday, because it's always a moment in our sport where you have that situation of the mandatory challenger, the person who's fought their way into that position. They haven't been gifted it. Voluntary defence, we select an opponent that we think the fans like, that we think the networks like, that we think are going to sell tickets. It's business. This is a little bit more than business. This is about a mandatory position. It's not necessarily the opponent I would have chosen for certain reasons, but Saturday night I think will be a very interesting evening.